All right, we're being live streamed.
Okay, great. So, is there music or we're just starting? Should we sing?
Music today because I thought I saved it on Dropbox, but I can't find it. So,
okay.
So we are
right.
live.
We're live, so let's just go. Welcome to the return of the 5 Chippy Chicks. We have we've got some craziness going on today. Stacy is busy tonight, so she couldn't be here. So we have a special guest, Kat Mizera, and Kat and Kelly are both in Florida right now in their hotel. Are you guys in the same room?
Yes.
I didn't know if you were both going to be together on one screen or what was going to happen. So are you at a writers conference there?
Yes, we are at Wildest Thing. So the conference actually doesn't start until, Wednesday night, I guess, but we came a few days early to get some beach time and maybe some writing time.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Some alligator time.
That's why we have no background. We are sitting in a hotel room. Sorry about that, but it's all an adventure tonight.
I have no background either, but that's just technical difficulties. But that's the middle name of our broadcast. Technical difficulties. So today we're going to talk about the summer, and we're going to talk about hockey podcasts, and of course our regular features, the wildest thing in hockey, and also best dressed, or in this case, best undressed, because everyone was on vacation. So first of all, we're just going to recap our summer. Book-wise, did anyone launch books or write books this summer that they like to talk about? Do you want to start, Danica? You usually have something new.
I had 2 releases since we last talked. So my small town romance, Trapped in Love, came out I think right after our last one. So that one's not hockey, but I did have a hockey release this month. The Chase, which is book 4 in my Philadelphia Bulldogs hockey series, came out on the 1st. So yeah, I had 2 releases.
Tell us about The Chase. What's that about?
So it's the 4th book in my series. It's a reformed Playboy shy heroine that also deals with mental health issues. So TJ's was kind of my I'm gonna write a douchey hockey player because I don't really write that. And then he wasn't. He was like, here's all this emotional damage. And I was like, great, thank you. What am I supposed to do with this? So, he kind of he's this loud, in your face, guy, but he has these vulnerabilities too. And the heroine in the book, she was a sole survivor of a car accident that killed her parents and her boyfriend. And so she's got a lot of trauma from that, and she also has some religious trauma that she's working through. So a lot of the book, it does deal with her anxiety and her night terrors, and he really helps her through that. She's very resistant to even going to talk to someone about it, and a lot of the book is other people in her life that love her telling her that it's okay to go through help. And he even says I went to one just for hockey, so yeah, he's much different if you've read any other books than you think he is. So yeah, it was very much opposites attract, so very much so.
Well, I have a soft spot for those douchey heroes, so that sounds good. Fortune, what about you? Do you had a book just before was it just before we did our last live stream?
No, it came out in July, end of July. This one here, I can't see it. Yeah. One Night with You. We have Jeremy. It's May December relationship. He's again older man, younger woman, and a bit of a workplace romance. So they clash over top of a boardroom. Is a little bit inspired by some stuff going on in town here with the city, and so it's a fun one. And then the next book comes out next month. Where does the time go?
I know, it's so fast. Okay, what about you, Kelly? Did you have some new books this summer?
No.
What have you been working on?
I have not been working on very much. I've been working on my next hockey release, which will be out in November. But it's been very slow going. For some reason, this book is just giving me grief, and I have not made progress like I had hoped to, but I'm kind of into it now. So fingers crossed that it will go better. But no new releases.
Okay. What about you, Kat? Do you have some new books coming out, or did you have anything this summer?
I did. I had in July my original series, the one that got me into hockey romance, the Las Vegas Sidewinders. I did a spin-off of calling it Sidewinders Generations, and it's the younger guys on the team. And the one that came out in July is the son of one of my original heroes, who is now graduated high school and is playing for the team. And this was his book, which was much anticipated by my readers. He is dating a European princess by marriage. She's not royalty by blood, but her mother married a king. And there's a lot of strife because the hero's grandfather is in the KGB, and the royal family does not want her to marry someone with ties to the KGB, even though he's American born and has nothing to do with any of it. So there's a lot of fun and drama set around the two of them trying to be together.
Oh, great. Sounds good. And I finally have a book. After all the sessions, I said, I don't have a book. I have a book on pre-order now. It's called I Hate Nate. It's book number 6 in Vancouver Vice. And he is like Danica's hero, pretty douchey to begin with. But of course, he reformed. So he's my most requested, like, when is that book coming out now? Because I think I have been working on it for 4 years. I mean, I got other books in the meantime, but I couldn't end it, but now it's looking really good. So
I don't think he was douchey. He's like a himbo.
Yeah, he's
really sweet.
We had talked about this with Hockey Canada, but I do think it is hard for these guys that play junior hockey and they leave home at 16. I just feel like their value system is like such a bro value system, and they just need a woman to straighten them out.
Nurture it out of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Fortune helped me because my heroine is Filipina, so she gave me a read, so that was great. Okay, now let's talk about what our hockey teams did this summer and how you're. No crying, Danica, no crying in hockey. So tell us what your hockey team did this summer, if you're feeling more or less optimistic about the future, and if you think they're going to make the playoffs. Let's start with Kelly.
So my team did basically nothing.
They just got rid of the captain, I heard. Is that right?
No spoilers. That's coming later.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Let's just rewind that. I didn't say anything.
Yeah. So we have a new coach, and I mean that happened. That happened earlier, and we have like a whole new coaching team, basically a new coach, new associate coaches, and we thought maybe they were going to do a bunch of changes because there were obvious big problems last year in the room. A lot of players were unhappy. And all of us fans were extremely unhappy because we thought that this was a good team on paper, but did terrible. However, the management of the team has decided that it is a good team on paper, and so we're going to go for it again. With new coaching. So it's kind of, I guess everybody's kind of wait and see how that goes. Because, I mean, I actually thought, I think when we started this off last season, I actually thought they had a good enough team to make the playoffs for sure. And then it didn't go like everybody thought it was going to. They do have a lot of talented players. So I guess we'll see how the new coaching plays out. But really, they didn't make a lot of changes, so kind of status quo.
Are they going to make the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You know what? I'm going to write these down. At the end of the year. Okay. Now the next, I guess I'll say, because it's going to be interesting because Fortune and Kat's teams sort of traded players. So I'll go to Danica next. who's got this pretty much the saddest update. Okay, go ahead.
We have a new coach that I don't like. We got a new player that I don't like.
Okay, well,
Got rid
if
of
people
our
don't know,
franchise.
this is the Flyers she's talking about.
We got rid of our franchise player who had played for the team for 15 years, who I personally don't think wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And management kind of forced his hand to give them a list of places he would want to go. So there's like a saying in Philly that like Philly fans are either cocky or distraught. Like there's no middle ground. So we're definitely in the distraught section right now. I like him just like, okay, like I don't have any feelings about the season coming up because I'm just, I don't know. I don't think it could get worse.
Are you gonna be watching the games?
Yeah, I will watch.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like the team has no identity now.
Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing your prediction for the playoffs will be okay. And one thing, which is going to lead us into the next thing, did you hear that Johnny Gaudreau wanted to sign with the Flyers, but they couldn't afford him?
I mean, that makes sense. He's from South Jersey, I think. So that does make sense why he would want to go for the Flyers. And I think he grew up watching the Flyers. So, like, I would have loved to have him on there. But, yeah, we couldn't afford him. I was like, no way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love it. But who are you getting rid of? And, like, just no way.
But didn't they just pay too much for some player just before
Yeah.
that? So, yeah, anyway. So, okay, Kat, your team is Florida, and you were pretty busy. You had a good playoff run, and then.
So as a fan since day one, talking 1993, which was their inaugural season, they do this all the time. They have a fantastic team who gets close, and then they dismantle it. And we're going on 30 years here, and I'm just kind of over it. It's frustrating to watch, and it's kind of heartbreaking as a fan from day one. Like a lot of people don't get to be there from the very beginning, and I did. Some of the trades, like getting rid of Huberdeau, he's a fantastic athlete. That you can't take that away from him. But for whatever reason, he wasn't producing on the team the way they needed him to. They were basically putting all their eggs in the Huberdeau Barkov basket. And we kept coming up short. So obviously something had to change. So I'm not as upset about changing Huberdeau because that salary opened up room for other people. I don't know how I feel about Tkachuk. Not necessarily a fan, but he's talented. So if he can bring some fire and passion to the team, that would be great. The problem, of course, is that they got rid of some guys like a few years ago when they got rid of Marchessault. Why would they have gotten rid of him? He's, and now that this season they got rid of Uyghur. He was like the most exciting player in the playoffs. So I don't know. Historically, going 29 years back, I'm going to say no, they don't make the playoffs because every time they have a great year, they dismantle over the summer and we don't go back to the playoffs.
Whoa, that's a bold prediction there. I like it. So Uyghur, some people said he was the key. What are you thinking? Fortune for your Flames. Are you happy to have Huberdeau and Uyghur?
I am. I'm a little bit upset to leave Tkachuk because he is that kind of fiery, passionate guy, and people rally around him. So I am going to. So I don't know what's going to happen with there, but Kadri's there now, and Huberdeau, if he can be pushed, because he had the same stats basically as Johnny Gaudreau. So I'm like, the Cat's like, he was terrible. So I don't know what to think about that. I think
very unproductive for his talent. What he should have been doing.
I feel like there are a lot of people that come through Calgary like that. So it might just be more of the same. No, but I was sad about the top three going, but Elias Lindstrom's still there. Like I said, Kadri's going to be somebody to rally around. Markstrom's still there. Like, even though the three big guys aren't there, like, maybe, who knows, maybe they had just two big personalities and we've got a good team to rally around now. Like, Blake Coleman's still there. And it's going to be, I think, a lot different than the last couple of years with, COVID and canceling games. So I think there's going to be lots of things happening in hockey. I'm not ready yet, though.
Well, I guess for both Florida and Calgary, there's going to be some real chemistry questions, like so many new players. How's that going to affect the whole team and what are the lines going to look like? But I think it's exciting. I mean, the Canucks are pretty much like the Jets. They really they signed a few players, but they didn't do, well, the new management team said, we're going to get cap space and we need defense. And so they didn't get any cap space and they signed forward. So
We'll see.
I'm not, I didn't ask about the Flames. Or will they make the playoffs? Sorry.
Yeah, so sorry, I forgot two things. We added a woman to the player development role, so 3-time gold medalist Rebecca Johnson. And my bold prediction is that the Flames will finish ahead of the Oilers. That's as far as I'm going to go.
Oh, so like they're both in the playoffs, or neither are in the playoffs? Is that what you mean?
They'll finish ahead of the Oilers. Whatever the Oilers are.
That's not the question, though. The question is playoffs, yes or no?
Oh God, I'm gonna go. I'll say yes.
Okay.
I don't want to.
It's down. I've written it down now.
Okay.
Okay. And so for me, I would say Canucks will not make the playoffs because they'd have to pass the Flames and the Oilers, and I don't think that's going to happen. Did anyone want to talk about their holidays or the best holiday hockey romance they read this summer? I already know Kat hasn't read any. She said that in a Facebook group that we're in, but you can does anyone have anything that they'd like to talk about? What you did this summer?
What I did this summer. Go ahead, Fortune.
No, you go. Your summer looked way more beachy than mine. Oh, she came through here too.
I went on a trip. I know I didn't get to stop and visit anybody, and I could have visited people in like every city across the country, I think. But we were on like a whirlwind driving trip across the country, across the prairies. We stopped in Banff, spent a night in Kamloops, went straight to not Victoria, actually. We went to Sydney and we stayed there on Vancouver Island for a couple of days. Then Cowichan Bay, then we drove to Tofino. Holy shit. That drive was insane through the mountains. I did not realize that Vancouver Island had so many mountains, and it was nuts, like winding little, it was crazy.
I've been on that highway when there was a rock slide, just like half an hour before us. So.
Oh, it's nuts. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, of course. We stopped at Cathedral Grove and looked at the big old giant Douglas firs. It was just so amazing. And went to Coombs, where I went to Goats on the Roof. It was so cute. And then we spent one night in Vancouver, basically only one night to sleep, and then drove to Kelowna, did a winery tour, 4 different wineries, bought lots of wine, drank lots of wine, borrowed bikes from the hotel where we at to ride all along the lake front there, which was really cool, until I fell off my bike. And then I'm okay. And then booked it right back across the prairies to get home. And so that was like, it was a ton of driving, but super beautiful. Everything was beautiful. Like, even people say the prairies are boring. They are beautiful. I just wish they were a little shorter. And then of course the mountains and the ocean and the wineries, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, if we ever wanted to do a get together, they have the rookie tournament is on right now. So for the Chippy Chicks, they've got the Jets, Flames, Oilers, and Canucks are all in the Okanagan and Penticton playing right now. So that would be a great, you could do a wine tour and a live stream.
That's a great idea.
Everybody has to fly from the States to come up here, but it's beautiful up there. Right, Kelly? The interior. Okay.
And I didn't read very many hockey romances. Right now I am reading One by Marilyn Kelly, Dirty Groom.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Super cute.
Yeah.
I love her books.
Okay. Fortune, did you want to talk about something you did?
What did I do? I don't know. I don't even know where the summer went. It was just like here and gone. We went camping. Like I said, we live in the mountains. Best skies in the world. I finished my first original book of the year. And sent that in. And I got a job.
What
My
does that
haircut.
mean, original book? What do you mean?
Well, because I ghostwrite. So I've been doing that all year. But I haven't written any new books until this one. And it's going to come out next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not in your series. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Super
okay.
secret.
Original book. That sounded sort of wrong. Yes, I've been copying all the other ones.
Oh, yeah. No, I have to ghostwrite to make money, you know.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Anybody else?
We went to California for 2 weeks,
Nice.
and we started in LA, and then we drove up the Pacific Coast Highway to Santa Barbara. We spent a day there. Then we took the rest of the highway all the way up to San Francisco. And kind of like Kelly, I had no idea that we were going to be driving on the side of a mountain that's like a cliff. I thought we were going to be riding along the ocean. I didn't realize that the ocean was down under a cliff. And with all these sharp hairpin turns and everything, it was a little harrowing for a while. But San Francisco was a blast. Got to see friends. Went on a food walking tour that was amazing. Went to the fortune cookie factory. Did Alcatraz. Alcatraz was amazing. I need to find a way to work that into a book. That was some cool stuff. Yeah. So 2 weeks in California was really fun.
Great.
We rented a Tesla, which was amazing. You just have to touch the gas and the car just takes off. It was a lot of fun to drive. So yeah. And I try not to read a lot of hockey romance. I'm afraid it's somehow subconsciously the stories are going to bleed into mine. So I have been reading Autumn Jones Lake's Lost Kings MC series. MC is not really my jam. This is my first one ever. And I'm so hooked. I'm on book like 17.
Oh, wow.
And there's 5 more to go. And then she's got one on pre-order. So I'm super, super hooked. She is a master at world building. That's all I can say about that. Even if you don't love Motorcycle Club stuff, her world building is phenomenal.
Cool. Well, I'm reading Kelly Jameson's Shutout right now. Which was pretty funny because apparently, according to my Kindle, I had read it, but I haven't read it because nothing is familiar. So I don't know why it said that. Maybe I looked up something or I don't know what happened. But yeah, anyway, I'm enjoying it. I think I'm just like a quarter of the way through right now. And it's always pretty hot in those Kelly Jameson books.
And it's still topical. Like when I wrote that, stuff was happening with Patrick Kane, like the girl that accused him of rape. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that? And now it's still topical, that stuff. Like it's just kind of, well.
Yeah, because I think in the last live stream we were talking about the Hockey Canada issues.
Yeah.
And Kelly mentioned this book, so that's why I had wanted to read it. But okay, so let's talk a little bit about the cat crunch that's happening. So it seems like there's some, especially mid or low level players who are getting squeezed, good players who aren't getting contracts. Maybe they're on a PTO with a team right now, but the high end players are really getting paid. And a lot of teams are totally against the cap right now. So what do you think about this? Do you think the PA should be taking a bigger role? Should they be protecting these players? Or Kelly, do you want to talk about that?
I don't feel super informed about this.
Mm-hmm.
I do have feelings about the salary cap and the reason that it's there. And I know that this has benefited teams like the Jets because they're smaller teams, a smaller market. And Yeah, without a salary cap, they will never be able to compete against.
New York, right?
Yeah, exactly. Teams in bigger markets. So, and it kind of keeps things a little more even and balanced between the teams. So I know why it's there, and I kind of I agree with it, but the like I this is where I don't feel well informed, but I know that there are stuff going on where some of these players are just cashing in on huge salaries this season. And yeah, like others are on tryouts. Who knows what, like it leaves some of the other players kind of like take a little bit of a salary for a chance to play in the NHL. Like it kind of doesn't seem fair to the players somehow.
Yeah. Although, I mean, we're feeling sorry for them, but they're probably making $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's relative, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think, Danica? Have you been thinking about, like, you guys are tight against the cap, the Flyers are for sure.
They always are. So like when Pronger went on the long-term injury list, and like he just like never retired, people were like, why did he do that? And I was like, no, he's doing that for the Flyers, because if he like it was go against our cap. So like people were not understanding that. So this was like a long time ago, but I just remember that from when I had to do this transcript for his retirement press conference. So yeah, the Flyers are, I think, always really close and always really over. But I feel like they don't take the chance to like get the good players for the money. Like they just sign these smaller deals.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have it like for the same reasons, Kelly. Like there's gonna be like Philly's a big hockey market, so they would probably like blow their budget. Like they would spend as much money as they could if the NHL didn't rein them in. But yeah, I haven't been like really closely looking at it too much.
Yeah. There seems like there's players like PK Subban who don't have a deal or anything.
Yeah, that's
like
odd
some
to me.
well-known players. So
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Fortune? You guys, I think you guys are up to the cap in Calgary, aren't you?
Probably.
Calgary's kind of been like I'm gonna go for it right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a Daryl Sutter thing, right? So they're always going for it. So as long as he's there, it's always gonna be the best team every year. They're not like he's not playing to rebuild a team ever, which is why I like him. In terms of the cap, like I know it's important for the stars to be there because they put the butts in the seats, but you still have to feel the whole team. It's not like basketball where one guy can win the whole game. Like it's not like that in hockey. Like you need everybody. And I imagine it would put like a lot of and like create animosity between the players and like create an us versus them, which I don't think is good for hockey. Like we already have players who, are changing teams. Like just the whole, I think, team dynamic has changed since we were younger in terms of like, nobody's there's no like team loyalty anymore. It's more of a individual sport. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What's the situation in Florida like?
I agree in general with what everyone says about the necessity of a cap. Teams like Florida and Arizona and, so many don't have the following. They can't compete with an original six city. They just can't,
What are the crowds like in Florida now that they've been winning?
Well, during the playoffs and of course for the cup, they were completely sold out. It was out of control. It was like that in '96 when they went to the cup as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it died off again as soon as they start losing. And I'm not saying that they're going to, just historically the patterns that I've seen, as soon as they start losing, attendance dies off. Like we don't have diehard, in markets like Philly or the Rangers, Toronto. Those fans are going to be butt in seat. It doesn't matter if they're 0-82. They are going to be there for those games. It is not like that in Florida. It's just not. They're a football city. I grew up with the Dolphins, and that is what that city is about. I'm not
So
sure.
when the Panthers were like putting all those goals up and winning, you know, coming back from games and like putting 8 goals on a team, was that attracting people like during the regular season? Were they having sellouts?
I don't live there. You know, I live in Atlanta, so I don't get to go to many games every
Oh, I
season.
didn't know you were in
watch them.
Atlanta. I thought you were in Florida.
I'm in Florida now, but I live in Atlanta. You know, I watch all the games.
Yeah.
I think as the season went on, attendance picked up. But early in the season, even when they had some exciting games, the fans just, anytime that I've been there, I've never been there except in 96. Other than that, I've never been there to a sold out crowd during a regular season game, never.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and I don't even know that they worry about the cap. They play, you know, musical chairs with players in and out. And, you know, they'll pick up a big name like Bobrovsky and then they're like, oh, we're good. And then they'll, you know, pick up a big name like Kachuk. Okay, now we're good. You know, and then after that, it was all downhill as far as spending went. But one thing I will say, I think part of what's happening is they are diluting the player pool every time. So, you know, if there are 25, just using round numbers, if there are 25 teams in the NHL, though, and there's 24 guys per team, whatever the math is, I'm not going to math live, 24 times 25, whatever that is, those are the 600 best players in the world, so to speak, right? Then when you move up to 30 teams, 30 times 24 is more like 800 or 900. Now you've taken 250 guys who before weren't good enough to make the cut. Now you're adding them to the talent pool. And they're not necessarily the creme de la creme. And, you know, I think we're diluting the talent pool. So it makes sense that so many of these guys are getting really low salaries. And I think it is bad for morale. I think it was better when there were less teams, you know?
Yeah, the one thing I've been thinking about is that maybe that they should actually lower the age where players become free agents, because what seems to happen is you get these guys that are, you know, in their late 20s and they're signing these big contracts, and you know you're going to be hating them by the end of the contract because you're saying, oh, we're paying him $8 million and he could barely move around the ice. Like, that is not a good way to go out. So I just feel like either shorten the contract length so that the GMs can't do that, or just sign them up earlier so you're paying prime dollars for their prime time. And then later, maybe they can take a lower salary just to keep playing. But I just feel bad when they sign, because I think it's not going to work out. The end of this contract. Well, isn't Crystal Tang, like, how old is he? And he just signed a new contract. So, okay, I just don't see. Some people, sure, they stay in shape and they work really hard, but usually there's a real curve and it's pretty steep decline. So, yeah. Okay. So the big topic today is podcasts. We were going to talk about hockey podcasts, your favorite ones and why you enjoy them, and also a little bit about writing podcasts. So, Kat, do you listen to any hockey podcasts?
I don't listen. I'm terrible about things like podcasts because I'm the same with audiobooks. I will turn it on, and an hour later, I will realize that I stopped listening. I don't know how long ago, because my mind wanders. and I get that way with podcasts too. I'll be listening, and then the next thing you know, we're at the end, and I'm like, oh crap, I have to rewind because I don't know what I missed. So I can't really say I have favorites. You know, I think in our society, we've gone the way of everything is video and virtual and digital and everything else. And I'm still a little bit old school, which makes me feel a little bit old. I like to read, you know, I like to read things like the hockeywriters.com, you know, and go in and do that. So I'm a terrible podcast person.
And is there a way that you keep up with the Panthers when you're not in Florida?
I follow all the news. I go to NHL.com. I subscribe, so I get all the Panthers emails. We have the center ice package, so I can watch all the games and pre and post game interviews and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. What about you, Kelly? I know you were going to look for more podcasts, but are you listening to any?
So I listened to a couple, which was the first time that I've listened to hockey podcasts when I was driving up to the lake this summer. I was all by myself in the car, and I thought this is the perfect time because I get to pick what I get to listen to since I'm all by myself. And I listened to 32 Thoughts. I listened to one of those podcasts, and I started listening to Spit and Chicklets. And then I got to the lake and I didn't finish it. But 32 Thoughts was great. And I think I would like to listen to it more. I'm kind of like Kat. I get distracted when I'm listening to stuff, but driving in the car is a great chance to do that. I just don't do it very often. And Spit and Chicklets. Okay, the best part of that podcast was the advertisements. They were I can't remember what it was exactly, and I can't even remember but it was some kind of men's grooming product that was so freaking hilarious. Okay. Maybe I'll have to listen to it again.
Like hair removal? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, sort of hair removal.
Manscaping.
Like sack wash.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I know.
Commercial was hilarious. Okay, sorry. So the main reason I wanted to talk about this topic was to find out more podcasts to listen to, because I'd like to do more of that. I think you can learn a lot from listening, especially listening to players talk about the game as a romance writer kind of research thing. Totally.
And just even the way people talk about hockey, I think is really good for I really enjoy 32 Thoughts too. I listen to it a lot. And Elliot's usually got the best scoops on what's happening. So
he does. He has very good connections.
Yeah. Fortune, do you listen to any hockey podcasts?
So I'm old school. I've been listening to radio, hockey radio for a long time. I remember listening to Jim Rome before he went a little bit nuts. So, and there's a local one. It used to be the Fan 960, but now it's owned by Sportsnet. So they had Boomer, who's great, and Brett Warner was on it for a long time. But they have really great hockey guests on there. So, and they always dish it. So it's never reporter work. It's always player related, and it's really, really funny. So I do listen to that quite a bit. The only real sports podcast I kind of listen to is anything from The Ringer with Bill Simmons. I find that I love the way he relates everything in the world to basketball, and I feel like we could do that with hockey too. It's just clever. So I think that's about it. I'm the same way. I can't even listen to podcasts in the car because I'll get distracted driving.
Really?
So I can't do more than one thing at once, ever.
Well, can you listen to music while you're driving?
Sometimes, but even that, if I start getting into it, then I'll miss my turn.
Okay. Danica, what about you?
So I used to listen in the past, but I haven't in a while. I used to listen to Puck Soup, and Wish isn't a part of it anymore. I think ESPN made him stop doing it.
They did, yeah.
He actually there was an ESPN podcast with him and Emily Kaplan, and I really liked it because between the two of them, they're such different personalities. And with Puck Soup, he would get a little off the rails, but with ESPN on Ice, she would reel him back in. And I think I talked about it before. They had the best segment, and it was called Phil Kessel Loves Hot Dogs. And it was just media gaffes. And it was so funny because Wish would sing the song. He'd be like, Phil Kessel loves hot dogs. And Emily would be like, no, he does not love hot dogs. And it was so funny. I wish they still did it. So I listened to that for a while, but I haven't really haven't really been listening to podcasts anymore. I used to listen to a lot. I know like there's an ex-Flyer that has one called Nasty Knuckles. I think it's Riley Cote, and I forget who else is involved in it. But he has done some ones with like the current Flyers, and it's giving you like a lot of like insider information on them. Like Carter Hart did one about, and he talked about how like he was drinking this like energy drink or like this protein powder, and it was causing him to have stomach issues, and they didn't know what was wrong with him. And they finally figured out what was wrong with him, and now all the players like call him like Steel Butt or something like that, because it was called like Steel something. I was like, oh my god. I'm like, this poor kid, he cannot get a break on this team. Like, like I haven't listened to it, but like people will listen to it and they'll post like stuff on Twitter about like, this is what was on this episode. So that's interesting when I find those threads.
That's all you need, a Twitter feed where they post the highlights from their favorite podcast. So
I think someone did it for Carter because like just he really struggled this year, and like people wanted to really hear what like was really going on with him.
Yeah, to do that. Well, I sort of do a little bit of everyone. I listen to sports radio. There's just one show I like, Halford and Bruff, who are the morning guys, and I listen to their podcast if I'm busy while the show's on. So that's kind of my super hyper local Canucks content, where we obsess about things. And, you want those sort of Homer broadcasters sometimes who agree with you and aren't trying to be fair or anything. Like, oh yeah, we hate the Leafs too, and we can't believe we have to play our game on Eastern time. So I like it for that. I also like 32 Thoughts, and I listen to that pretty much when it comes out. I used to listen to Puck Soup like Danica, but then I did find that even though I don't really like the way Greg Wyshynski presents himself like on the podcast, I thought when he was gone, the dynamic was very flat between I think is it Ryan and Sean, the two remaining hosts. I just thought you sort of needed him. He was like the pepper, and suddenly it was kind of bland without them. So, but I also listened to the Athletic podcast, which is, I think it's going more, and they have a variety of hosts. They used to have like an American version and a Canadian version. So the American version was Craig Custance. I can't remember who the other person was. And they would talk more about the American teams, but now they're kind of mixing it up and they're presenting other things like women's hockey and international things. So, and I have to say, like, I'm not a very good sleeper. So if I get up in the middle of the night, I often put on the Athletic podcast, and just like guys explaining hockey to me, like, can really put me to sleep quickly.
Explaining hockey.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my God, I love that.
Okay, what about, does anyone listen to any writing podcasts or romance review podcasts?
Well, okay, sorry. Just jumping in here.
Yeah, jump in.
I don't listen to a lot, actually, and I know that there are quite a few, and they have gotten very popular, but I want to give a shout out to Buzzing About Romance with Becky and Leah.
Yes.
I know they like hockey romance, and they've had me on as a guest, and I think they have a great podcast.
Oh, good. So they read a lot of hockey romance, do they?
Becky
Yes.
is my beta reader.
Oh,
Yeah.
is she?
That's right.
Oh,
And
awesome.
Leah Developmental added 2 books for me.
Yeah.
So
They're
Yeah.
really good. They have really good insights into stories.
This isn't a podcast where they drink and then review books, is it?
I think they had
so
Drunk
have a
Book Club.
yeah.
Is that them?
Yeah, that's also them. So
Okay.
they have a book club, and it's like a part of their Patreon. I'm in it, so I like to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have like a drunk book club. It's like at night, and we're a bit much.
Yeah.
So,
I just listened to one episode and I thought, well, you probably have to drink while you're listening. Great. Any others? I'm just going to ask because everyone doesn't seem to be listening to a lot of podcasts, so I'll just throw it out rather than going to everyone.
I used to love listening to podcasts when I was learning, like when I was first learning to write. So there's like great ones about that.
The best part about any office job
what
is
is
the
happening?
fact that you
Is
can
that
print.
me? What happened?
I don't know.
Whatever you got
Oh my God, that was my Netflix. Sorry, guys. But a couple of podcasts I do also want to shout out are Romance in Color with Tati Richardson and Yaki. They do debuts. They always have debut authors on there, which are really great. And also Alia's writing has Rom Ever After or Romance Ever After, where she discusses, she usually has a guest author on and they discuss rom-com movies. So those are good. I don't read a ton of fiction when I'm not writing it. So I do, just like on my podcast, I really do a lot of nonfiction, which is great because it helps. I find it's an easy way to like absorb research when I'm researching books.
I listened to your episode on Romance in Color.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's how I found out you were Filipino. I didn't know before that. I was like, what? I didn't know that. I guess I don't know how I should have known. But yeah, great.
Yeah, don't guess. That's rude.
I know. All right, now let's talk about our regular features. And one is the wildest thing in hockey. So we just talk about the wildest thing that's been in hockey, and then now we get the whole summer to do it. Fortune, do you want to start?
Just the whole way the Goudreau deal went down, how it was just so bizarre because he never, like, the Flames offered him something and they got offered something else and then signed for like $0 basically somewhere else. Like, it was just, the whole thing went down. It was just the weirdest thing to watch. I sent you guys a picture. I don't know if Danica or anybody can pull it up. And it was just like a funny thing I sent Danica in our, it's in our chat, but I sent it to her when it happened. And it was just like a funny Reddit thing where they're like all the teams Goudreau wanted to go to or something.
There was all kinds of funny stuff on Twitter and like other hockey news. Like it was quite hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was just the funniest thing. And I didn't even know. I was like, I thought it was my brother sent it to me. So I get a lot of hockey news. Me, my brother, and my husband have a group chat, and he sent this. And I'm like, is this real? And he's like, no.
Oh.
Like, what is real?
Oh my God.
Well, he did end up signing for less than Calgary offered him, right?
Yeah.
Way less, like so much less.
Do you think
But
he genuinely couldn't make up his mind till the last minute?
No, so there's like some rumors that his uncle is like his agent, and he just made a bad deal, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because they were trying to play off the I think the negotiations went like terribly wrong. It's okay.
Wow.
He can have his pithy millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So when he comes back to Calgary, are they going to boo him?
I hope not, but you never know.
Yeah. I guess it made Tkachuk leaving feel better because at least he said, I'm going to leave, so trade me. Okay, the wildest thing in hockey. Do you have something, Kat? Did you know we were going to do this?
I didn't know you were going to do the wildest thing in hockey, but if we're talking about wild things that happened this season,
yeah,
I was thinking more along the lines of the Panthers. I have to say most people were very shocked that Huberdeau just was gone.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of the social media, and the comments were very surprised. So I think that for Florida fans, anyway, that was a wild thing to happen because Huberdeau and Barkov and Ekblad were pretty much are the team staples, right? The three guys that are the foundation, and shaking one of them was pretty wild.
What about the coaching situation in Florida? That the coach that took them to the playoffs?
Oh yeah, so that's honestly the coaching situation in Florida, the wildest thing, it didn't happen this season, but I mean, the way they fired Coach Gallant, like on a road trip and at the end of a game that they lost, and they literally just escorted him out. I think it was in Carolina. Like he had to take a cab to go get his things because they just said bye. So yeah, Florida doesn't have a great track record. And then this season, with the coach and that whole situation where they let him go. Well, I guess he resigned, but I'm sure there was pressure to make that happen. And sorry, I've had a glass of wine. I'm drawing blanks on the names, but yeah. Then the guy
Andrew, I can't remember his last name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They the guy who
I bet if we had more wine, we could remember his name.
This might be a good idea. As you can see, my glass is empty. So, the guy that got them through the playoffs. So,
yeah.
Again, Florida has a reputation of musical players and coaches and staff. So, while I'm not totally optimistic, I'm very, very curious as to what this coming season is going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to be great. At least as exciting. Kelly, what's your...
Curious about the coming season. That's a good word.
Yeah.
So here's my wildest thing, and this just happened. The Jets have taken the C away from Blake Wheeler. So he's been the captain for, I don't know how many years. After Andrew Ladd got traded away, he's been the captain. So, and a lot of the chat last season about the issues in the room and some of the tensions and some of the players that maybe weren't pulling their weight, and some of the issues around Paul Maurice, our previous coach, and how he didn't give the young guys enough of a chance and relied too heavily on his veteran players like Wheeler. Wheeler and Paul Maurice were super close, apparently, and Shifley. And I mean, all this is rumors. We don't know because they'll never tell us. But a lot of and it kind of seemed to make sense, was that Wheeler was maybe not the best captain in terms of mentoring and helping the younger guys develop. And he got way more ice time than a lot of fans thought he deserved when Coach Maurice was there. And now we have a new coach who has, in his first meeting, sat down with Blake Wheeler and told him he's not going to be captain anymore.
Wow.
So that's quite I don't know how often that happens. I know that happened to Dustin Brown. I think somebody else who I can't remember offhand. I don't know how often it happens that they actually take the C away from a player. And I don't know what that's going to be like. One of the sports writer guys in Winnipeg said it would have been better to trade him than to do that to him. I don't know. Trading him would be hard. He's making $8 million a year. He's 36 years old. Like, don't know who's going to want that. So they're going to go with some associate captains, a bunch of A's, no captain.
No captain.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, though.
Are they giving him an A or nothing?
Don't know. Rick Bowness was not prepared to comment on that, although he said, I've decided it just means I don't want to tell you. So we don't know who the A's will be. Lots of speculation, obviously, but it's interesting and kind of, I mean, in some ways it could be good, because if Wheeler's leadership wasn't taking the team in the direction that they want to go now, then that's good. It's kind of bad for Wheeler. He was very professional about it and said, I don't need a letter to be a leader. I'll be a leader no matter what, which you would hope, but still, that's gotta be hard for him.
Yeah, there'll be some tension in the room.
Well, yeah, and if there was tension in the room before, he's still there, and now he's not a captain, and that doesn't really address
Potential.
the tension. Yeah. So curious. I'm very curious how this is going to play out.
So who's putting that in a book?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well, here they took the C off Trevor Linden, I think.
Is that right?
Gave it to Mark Messier, who was like, he's the most hated Canuck player of all time. So, you know, that went really well. Danica, what is your wildest thing?
So like all the stuff that's happening in Russia with the Russian players. So the Flyers actually had a goalie prospect that was arrested by the Russian military, and
Yes.
he was like detained. So like I don't like, and Provorov goes to Russia every summer, and like he trains for the summer in Russia, and like a lot of the teams were telling the Russian players to not do that, because they were like, are you gonna get back in the country? Like we don't know. But like he came and is back now, so he's like fine. But yeah, it was like a lot of people were like worried about that. It was just very like a weird story.
But I thought for a time that Russian guy was the only guy that was punished that way.
Yeah, there was like
guy.
there was something else. There was someone else. I forget who it was. It wasn't on the Flyers that like something about like fake IDs or something.
Oh,
I forget.
there was an issue.
Yeah.
So what happened to that goalie guy? Is he still? Because did I hear right? He was sent to like Siberia or some like place like
to
that?
a military facility.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't.
And last I heard, Panarin did not go home this summer for that reason.
I don't blame him with all the other stuff that
Yeah.
went on with him.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting because they're talking about doing a World Cup of hockey, but right now they're kind of there's kind of a veto against Russian players because of the war in Ukraine. So it'll be interesting to see what ultimately happens with that.
Yeah, and I think what happened with him was that he tried to skirt his like I guess mandatory like military service, and like that's why he was detained.
That's what it was. It wasn't Panarin, it was Shesterkin, because Shesterkin is still young enough. Panarin has aged out of the military service thing, but Shesterkin is still young enough where they could. And I thought I read somewhere that the Rangers asked him not to go.
Oh, so they could force you to be in the military if you're
because it's mandatory there.
Yeah.
Wow. So
most
maybe you
of these
get
guys-
exemption for the KHL, but not for the NHL.
Right.
So they don't want them to go. Yeah. My wildest thing was Sergei Fedorov is coaching in the KHL, and he's done this new thing where on 3-on-3 and overtime, he's pulled the goalie and put another player on, which if you have to sort of Google it and look, but it's like super exciting. So you've got 3-on-3 hockey, and you've both got goalies in the net. He pulls his goalie when they get in the offensive zone and sends the fourth player out there. And both times they've scored that he's done it. And it's just freaky because when you watch it, the players are like, what? Like they're sort of looking around. Like the first time they really didn't expect it. They're like, where did that guy come from? You know, why do they have an extra guy on? But it has worked. But I understand that it cannot be done in the NHL because I forget, they've got some rule against it. So anyway, we're not going to see it. But it's always interesting when coaches do something new and innovative. We'd like to see more of that. We'd actually maybe see some European coaches here. Maybe they'll do different things. Okay, our second to last thing is best dressed, where we usually look at hockey players in suits, but we're going to be looking at what some hockey players did on their summer vacations. Okay, let's start on the top left. I think
that's me.
Yeah.
Right? My left, your left. So here's Blake Coleman. He's been my favorite Flame this year. And And apparently these 3-inch seam shorts are called Hoochie Daddy shorts. This is his wife's birthday. And it looked like he spent a lot of time with his family, which I love.
Aw, cool.
They are so cute.
Right.
Has he got
The
red
reason,
hair?
the reason there's an Aaron Ekblad picture, even though it did not get any attention, there were no photos released, although I did see one. Aaron Ekblad got married over the summer. His wife is a doctor. Well, she's in her, I think she has one more year of residency left. So it's pretty cool that he kept it completely private, did not release any photos. A friend of mine was invited, since that's my hometown. That's how I have seen one picture, but so I thought that was pretty fun and cool, and he's adorable.
Okay,
Okay, is that me next?
the middle shot there.
That is Pierre-Luc Dubois in the foreground.
Mhm.
I don't know who the guy in the background is. I don't know if he's a hockey player or just a friend or a family. I don't know. Anyway, they're in France enjoying the summer.
Oh, really? Cool.
Nice.
In that picture, and it looks delightful.
Okay. And the next one is me. This is Thatcher Demko, who married his longtime girlfriend, who's also a goalie, Lexi. And he's like total California dude. He's like really kind of different. And so I just, I thought that was cute. They got married in California and they've got the old bugbear and yeah, 2 goalie families. So I don't know if that means their kids will be goalies, but I do want to say one thing is that I did search for shirtless photos. And there are never any with the Canucks. I don't know. You need like a certain kind of guy, I guess, because it like, I gotta say, Swedes are pretty good. They're pretty comfortable with their body, and a certain personality of guy. They're always like, "Oh, here's what I did on the cottage," and none of the Canucks seem to do that. So I'm always like, "You guys have the photos," and I think, "How do they get those photos? I can't find anything."
So that reminds me of, because I've put up a couple of pictures of Nikolai Ehlers shirtless, and then somebody commented on one of his Instagram photos. Have you? Oh, was it Pierre-Luc Dubois?
It was. I think it was.
And he said, "Have you even worn a shirt at all this summer?"
Well, I know, because I just think, I mean, I've been watching Euphoria, which is this sort of crazy, supposedly teen thing, and they go to a party and all the guys take their shirts off at the party. And I was saying to my daughter, is that what happens? She was like, I don't know. Okay, let's talk about the dog.
You guys don't have like shirtless weather? Because everyone, as soon as you get taught here in Canmore, there's no shirts happening.
Really?
Yes. Like we were at the river last weekend and it wasn't even that warm, but they were just like people playing like frisbee with no shirts on. I found it like, I don't live in a beach.
Well, I guess if you're at the river, I'm sure, like if you're at the beach in Vancouver, but I don't know.
Yeah.
At a party though, like I can't imagine it, but anyway, I'm not.
I watched Euphoria both seasons in like 3 days. I don't recommend that. It was intense.
I have to take a break because I'm just thinking, well, this is a bad idea. I don't think I can keep watching. Okay, let's talk about the dog.
Oh, so it's Ivan Provorov with his dog, who I think has a bigger following than him. And she posted this and said that like he doesn't want to come in out. The dog's name is Drake, and he doesn't want to like come in, so like they have to pick him up to like bring him in because he like refuses. So she was like, it's a good thing Ivan was home and is home now and like can do it, because it's like he is getting too big for me to do it. So that's him like dragging the dog out of the water, and his face looks so annoyed.
Yeah. He looks pretty happy to be carried though.
I think they might baby him just a touch.
Yeah. Looks like. Okay, great. So I will just say, does anyone have anything they want to promote
I do. I've got a book coming out October 13th. So
October
just before our
13th.
next live stream, My Christmas with You. And if you haven't picked up my first book, I've got a book bub at the first week of whatever the month is, October.
October?
For 99 cents for Stuck With You.
Oh, okay, great.
Ooh.
That's your hockey one. So
That's
yeah.
good.
So we'll put a link up. Anyone else? Kat, do you have anything on
I
sale?
do.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, day after tomorrow, I have book 3 in my Lauderdale Nights series coming out, entitled Long Shot. This is one of my newer series, and it's kind of fun because it takes place in the off season with a group of the guys on vacation, and it delves into the world of professional surfing because she is a professional surfer. So that's coming out on Tuesday.
And lots of people will have their shirts off, I hope, for this.
Constantly with their shirts off.
I think I read one of Kelly's books that was about surfing. It was really interesting. the
Yeah,
surfing world.
Yeah, I wrote one. That's my one other sport that I've written about other than
Mhm.
hockey is professional surfing.
To do that. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah.
So Kelly, what have you got coming up?
Nothing.
Nothing? Do you have any sales or anything?
No.
I can't believe this.
I'm really, yeah.
You
yeah.
have a book coming out in November.
November. It's not until November. I'll promote it a bunch in our
Okay.
next
Okay.
live stream.
I know Danica will not let me down here. What do you got?
I have a Halloween release.
All right.
Ooh,
For the last book in my brewery series is coming. I'm releasing that on Halloween. I don't have the proof yet. Actually, that's somewhere over there.
What's it called?
It's called Temporarily in Love. It's my steamiest book, and I don't think I've been yelling it at people because I don't want them to be like surprised by it. And I'm like, it's really steamy. Like, this is my steamiest one. But like, it's Second Chance. They were together in high school, and she gets a really good opportunity to go to Stanford, and she breaks up with him and like leaves, and then systematically just ignores him for like 16 years. And like, she's back in town because her parents own a bar in the town and it's failing. And she's going through some situations with like not really being happy with work. And like her fiance has just cheated on her. So she's like broken up her engagement. So she comes home and she's like, I am here to help you. And she kind of like, he starts to help her like kind of rebrand the bar, and they spend time together. And a lot of it is, oh, well, she's not moving back. So that, and you know, it's the last book in that series, but you know, it brings it all together. And it's set in the fall. I'm releasing on Halloween because there is a Halloween party. They take her nieces trick-or-treating. Like, there's a scene of the pumpkin patch, so it's very seasonal.
Okay, but most importantly, what makes it steamier than your other books?
There's restraints in it.
Oh, cool.
And they did not stop taking off their clothes. I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, again? Okay. Oh, and again. Okay. Yeah.
Some books, the sex scenes are just easier to write because the characters have all this chemistry.
Yeah.
And sometimes I try to like dial it back, or sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll be like, oh, do I need one here? And then I'm like, I don't think they really did it all that much. And then I'll go back and read, and I'm like, they've already had sex 5 times. And I'm like, but I didn't remember it.
Oh, great. Of course, as I mentioned before, I've got a book, I Hate Nate, coming out in November 10th. And also the first book in the Vancouver Vice series, The Tao of Hockey, is free on all vendors right now. So if you haven't read them yet, what we'll do is all the books we've just mentioned, we'll put links in afterwards. So you can get them. And our next scheduled live stream will be October 16th at 8 p.m. Is that right? 8 p.m.
EST.
daylight time unless there's like a clock change or whatever. And Stacy's going to host it. I don't think we have a theme yet, but that's great. Good. So thank you for joining us. Oh, did we have any comments? I forgot to look.
Oh, I haven't looked either.
I did not look, but we can have a custom mural now, you guys. So we should pick that.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah,
next
'cause we
time
have
you
enough
come, we're going to
followers.
have a special name, something.
Thank you to all our
Simply.
subscribers who have subscribed to our channel.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to 100. So that means we got our own name, which we're still arguing about in the chat. But thanks a lot for everybody that listens and
And
watches.
anybody who's listening who has other suggestions for good hockey podcasts, comment with them because we'd like to know them.
I did ask in the sin bin, and I did get a local podcast, and someone else suggested the Steve Dangle podcast. So
Oh, okay.
the ones mentioned. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, that's it then.
Well, thank you for inviting me to join you this month, ladies.
Thanks for
I'm
coming.
glad it was
Kat.
fun.
It was
Yeah,
great
thanks
to
for being
have
here.
you. Yeah, and learn about Florida. So that's good.
Yeah.
And so no music. So
No music to play us out this time. So we're done. Good night.
night.
Good night.
Right.